Coach Fro from RocioFlores.com, and today I want to talk to you guys about self-consciousness. So it was the question on, I asked you guys, and I'll try to do this every week, that I'm going to do a live, and I'll post, what do you want me to talk about? And one of the answers was to talk about self-consciousness and, how to not let that feeling of like people are judging you affect you. And so I came up with a few things that I think, 5 points. I'll make them 5 points of things that I think are really helpful. I think this is a really important topic because it's something that everyone experiences at some point. It's really hard not to experience it if you're experiencing it. And while there are people who are like, yeah, hello, that are like, yeah, I don't have that issue. I think once you talk to them, they're like, yeah, I've had that issue. It's just, they found some way to cope with it, etc. So I want to go ahead and go into that. I do want to make sure that I let you guys know. So I'm going to download this after I'm done and post it on my YouTube so you can watch it on there. And so as you're going along, if you have questions, you can put them in here. If you want to just talk about this topic in general, just send me a message and we can talk about it. But I think the issue with this topic specifically is how people typically respond to it. So what I mean with that is that, let's say you are self-conscious, and I'm horrible at this. I struggle with thoughts, so I've always had a really hard time with it, and so I totally understand people who struggle with it, right? And it can be like, it can make you stop being yourself. It can make you not be able to take action. It can completely ruin your life. Like that freezing moment of like, what are they thinking? What are they thinking of me? How they're noticing this, they're noticing that, they're noticing my flaws. All of this stuff is going on. Can be very. It takes your power away. So I know that it's a really big issue for a lot of people. I think one of the problems why it's so hard to get past is because when you ask someone for help, most people's response is, that you'll just to ignore it, or just that it'll go away, or to not pay attention to it, or that's not happening, or. And so I think the issue is that it's so easy to dismiss someone who's having this kind of fear, this problem, that by dismissing them, you're completely, one, you're not getting to any kind of answer where they'll actually be helped, right? And two, you're making the person feel like maybe they're crazy, like there's something wrong with them, and that means that when we feel like we're wrong, like there's something wrong with us, and it's just like we're crazy and we're experiencing something that nobody experiences, and we suddenly don't start talking, we don't start telling people, hello, we don't start telling people all these fears, and then next thing you know, when it is affecting us in a negative way, we're not taking action because we don't think that we're normal. First of all, I want to state that this is very normal. Most people struggle with this at some point in their life. Even the super confident people at some point are going to be self-conscious about themselves, or they're going to have those thoughts of like, oh, that person's judging me, or that person's saying this, blah, 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 right? So it's really normal, but when you don't feel like it's normal, you don't feel like you can talk about it, and you don't find a way to fix it because you don't think that anybody knows how to fix it. So first and foremost, I think it's really important to recognize that it's real, it's legit. If this is something you struggle with, it might be something that you struggle with. Thank you. And so, okay, I'm just going to go over 5 points, okay? First one is, let's just say, and I want to go on two extremes. Let's just say there's one person at the park, right, who's just got their headphones on, and they're like sitting there like, and they're in their head about like that people are judging them, etc., right? And so, let's say there's somebody at the other side of the park with their music out and about, and they're just dancing for everyone to see. From an outward view, today's topic is, we're talking about self-consciousness. So, for example, you would look at these people and you might think like one person is less self-conscious, right, than the other. Or you might see both of them as being overly self-conscious. Like, you don't really know what's going on in their heads. But let's just say that the person sitting down is thinking, oh my God, if I do anything, I'm going to be judged. I wish I could be like that girl dancing. Now the girl dancing might be thinking, oh my God, people are judging me, blah, blah, blah. So, there's it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't really matter who you are, whether you're extroverted, introverted, and etc. Like, right? You could still have this experience, and you could still be thinking these thoughts. And so the first step I want you to think of, let's say you're feeling that way. So let's just assume it's true. People are judging you, and they're thinking, oh, thank you. So let's just assume it's legit. Let's just assume that people are staring at you and they're thinking the worst thoughts about you, and they are judging you, and they see all your flaws, and they see your insecurities, and they see your pain, and they see your trauma, and they see every fear that you have. So what? So let's just assume. What does it mean if that's the case? Like, if that's the case and they are judging you, what does that mean to you? What does it mean in your life? How does it affect what you're doing? How does it affect what you should be doing? How does it change your mind about who you are and what you should be doing? I think we get so caught up in these assumptions in our head, right? And we're trying to fight them. Let's just say they're there and they're true. Like, you're thinking this person thinks I'm annoying, and you are annoying. What does that mean to you? You know, you have to analyze the second point is to examine yourself realistically against those thoughts. So let's just say they're all freaking true. All right, they're all true. What does that mean? Let's just say they are judging you. That does that mean that just because they think that you're weird, that you are weird? And if you are weird, is that a bad thing? Is it a negative thing, right? My hand's much better. I still can't bend it much. I have PT tomorrow, so hopefully I'll be able to, like, you know, do stuff. But it's much better than it was. I don't have to wear this freaking thing anymore. Thanks for asking, though. But okay, something that I did a post about cognitive distortions. Thank you for the hearts, yay! And cognitive distortions are these things like it's just a way of classifying types of thoughts that we tend to have in our head that are not correct. So like weird thinking, like this situation is this way because of this, but then when you examine it, you're like, oh, that was just my head lying to me. It was my head messing with me, right? So let's say that you saw somebody and they genuinely think something bad about you. Okay, well, now you have to look at that bad thing and examine yourself. Like, do you agree with what they're saying? Would it matter if it's true? Is it something that can be changed or can't be changed? Is it something that affects them in any way? Is it something that would affect them in any future way? Is it, you know, this is where cognitive distortions come by. Like, let's say somebody frowns at you, and so you're thinking, oh my God, they hate me. They must be so mad at me. I must have done something. And so, okay, let's stop and think, what are the reasons why that could have happened? Look at the situation realistically. And people always ignore you. I get that, you know, and there's lots of reasons I can go into that. If you could tell me more of the situation, I could go into that. I'm weird too, so I totally get that. And so, but let's say for me, I've always thought like, okay, people are going to think I'm weird if I do this thing, right? Here's the thing. There's going to be people who think you're weird whether you do it or not. And then there's going to be people who think you're not weird whether you do it or not, right? Then you're going to think you're weird whether you do it or not. And then, so there's got to be like different, you kind of got to look at the situation outside of itself, right? Outside of the emotions or the thoughts that you're having about it, and look at it. Was this something that was genuinely abnormal? And if it is, how does it affect your day? How does it affect the reality of life, right? And make sure that you're going through and addressing those cognitive distortions and understanding whether or not it's just, you know, your brain lying to you or not. Okay, then the third thing, so first and foremost, we've already looked at it and just assume the worst, assume it's true. Now look at each of those thoughts that you think are true and examine them realistically. Now, the third thing that I would say to do would be to, let's just say it's true you're being weird by general standards, and that is what they're thinking. So someone's looking at you and they're judging you as being weird, and you looking at yourself, and realistically you are kind of being weird, like it's weird for the situation. Now you have to weigh yourself versus yourself and the actions that you're taking, right? This action, should I continue to do it or not? Is it too weird, you know? Or is it not weird enough? Or, you know? So like, I put on two little scales, right? So I want you to weigh that action in between yourself and fear. So in a situation where this weird thing that you're doing that people are judging you for, will stopping it be putting yourself down and stopping yourself from being you and yourself from manifesting yourself in the way that you feel good about, you know? Do you like what you're doing? And is the only thing that would keep you from doing it is the fear that they're judging you? Then you need to choose yourself over that fear. On the other side of that, let's say you're doing something weird, you recognize it's weird, and you're being judged for it to be weird. Are you putting yourself over the possible harm of others? Because then in that situation, let's say you're doing something that is actually negatively affecting somebody else. At that point, that's where you have to ask yourself, does it really matter if it makes me more comfortable and makes me more happy if it's hurting someone else? In that situation, that's where you can genuinely be like, I probably shouldn't be doing this. But if you're weighing yourself against just a general fear that really isn't affecting anybody other than them having a judgment, then you should choose yourself. Because you can live your entire life being completely afraid and never do anything because of what other people think. And let me just tell you that it doesn't matter, because in the end, they're just going to have judgment on that. They're just going to judge you for not having done the thing that you wanted to do. So you have to put that little scale, and I'll write it down. So the way I wrote it down was like self over fear versus self this way harm. Hello, new people. Then the fourth one is, I think, let's say you get to a point where you're like, this is affecting me in just too negative of a way. Let's say you're struggling, this is affecting daily decisions at work, decisions within your relationships, decisions within your career, your work, your hobbies. Like, you're not doing what you want. You're not living the life you want, and it's affecting you in overly, excessively negative way. Like, it's not something that just happens sometimes or in some places. It's kind of permeating all areas of your life. Then I think a decision that you have to make is to get extra help. Now, depending on the level of how badly this is affecting you, this can be as simple as picking up a book that can help you understand how to get over these kind of fears. Or you, on the other end, might need to get professional counseling to get past this kind of situation, because there might be something more to it. Like, there might be very real reasons why you have these patterns and why this is affecting you so badly. And there's different avenues in between talking to people in general, talking to peer support, talking to coaches. And so there's different levels where you can get help for this situation. And no fear, mindful intent, okay? So, yeah, here's the thing though. When it comes to this conversation of fear, you're still going to feel the fear. So don't assume that fear is just going to go away. Like, you're still going to feel it. But you can act in spite of it. And you have to make a conscious effort to do that in order for that fear to lessen. If not, if you always choose, like, I'm a little too scared right now and I'm supposed to act when I'm not afraid, well, you're never going to not be afraid, because you're never pushing past that point of fear. So it's a good point, you have to be against the fear, but you also have to recognize that it might be there for a while. So, again, if the fear's too much, if you're somebody who, like, I've struggled, like, I've had really, really bad anxiety for a very long time, and so there's a time I couldn't get on a live video, like, hell no, right? And so I got professional help. I've had coaches and I've had counselors, and so sometimes you need that extra added support. So if you decide that this is affecting you in a very negative way, like more than just being kind of scared, but that fear's keeping you from acting in your life, then get extra help. And then the fifth one that I think is not talked about enough, but probably one of the best ways to cure this kind of situation, is to take the focus off yourself completely. I dislike this concept, or when it's talked about on its own without validation, because it can make you feel selfish, right? It'll make you feel bad if somebody says, oh, stop focusing on what people think about you, focus on others. Because then it's like, well, I have real fears, like I have real feelings, I'm struggling with a real thing. So first and foremost, always recognize that yes, what you're feeling is valid, it's normal, it happens. But one way to help you, after you've done all the other work of processing whether or not you should even be having this fear, is to place your focus on other people. And I don't mean that in a judging way. So don't like turn it around and be like, they're judging me, so I'm going to judge them. I mean, there's many ways to do this, but first and foremost, stop trying to look at the on crush. send me a message telling me what you want that topic to be more specifically. That way I can write it down for the next time I do a live, okay? But so what I mean is give back, right? You don't like it when people show up and, you know, attack your flaws. So you be the person who notices people's, you know, good traits. Look at their flaws and ignore the flaws and start to look at the good things in people, and you point those things out. You give back to the community, to the people in your life. Make it a habit to put other people's happiness not above your own, not in a way where you would be causing self-harm to yourself, but in a way where you get something from that, and your focus isn't on, you know, are they, you know, judging me? No, because you're focused on something else in life, right? And that you be grateful for the people in your life. See them as a blessing. Be supportive of other people and other people's journeys and what other people are doing. And just in general, focus on helping other people. So what happens there is, let's say you're like, I think this really makes it, I noticed this at church. So one day, I'm always like super like shy because it's a new location, new people. And it takes me a while to warm up to that kind of situation. But I remember when I took my niece, and she's like a little girl, you know. And I remember she knows me as being this like loud person who like plays with her, and I remember just how little I cared about how anybody else was judging me. Because in that moment I was playing with her. And it didn't matter if I was loud, it didn't matter if I was joking, or if I was laughing, and I was like cracking up because she's like dancing in the middle of the area. Like, it was awesome. And I was like, man, when you really put 100% your focus is just on being 100% there for another person, you don't have time to focus on what's going on around you and who's judging you or who's looking at you. And so it helps, especially if you know that you're going to be in that kind of situation, maybe go with someone that makes you feel comfortable. Go with somebody who you can put your focus on their well-being, or choose to do more things where you're putting your well-being on other people, where you're helping other people, where you're giving them your support, where you're noticing everybody's positive traits. And in those kind of situations, what you might notice is you might notice people's flaws. And then you might realize, well, look at this person. She's got all of these flaws, and they're still freaking awesome. So if I have all of these flaws, I might also be freaking awesome. So, again, complete validation that it's perfectly normal to feel this way. Everyone feels it at some point. So if you're self-conscious, that's okay. Now, if you want to move past that fear, go ahead and actually take a look at what you're thinking. Pay attention to what's coming in. And don't judge that thought. Just recognize it. And assume that it's real. So what? Even if it was real, what does that mean? Second, examine that thought realistically within the realm of society, your own personal comfort, and your own personal beliefs about the situation, and then weigh it based on your fear or how you could or could not be harming somebody else with it, and then decide whether or not you need extra help with getting past it. And in general, make sure that your focus isn't on the negative thoughts that might be coming towards you, and try to put some of your focus, your energy, on more positive things like being the light in other people's lives. Okay, so take a look at this little sun. Oh, I can't hold it. The little sun thing on the screen. And I tell my family, like, be the light. You, even if everybody sucks and everyone's in a bad mood, and you're having a horrible freaking day and you hate it, you be the light. Because while life can suck, you can choose to be the light at least 90% of the time. And that way people will forgive you for the 10% where you're not. So hopefully these tips help you with getting past this fear. I'm going to go ahead and download this video and put it on my YouTube. It's bit.ly/RoseYouTube. So, oh, you're welcome. Thank you for the messages. I really appreciate that, guys. And for the hearts, because they're pretty colors. But I'm going to post this on there, and then just want to always remind you guys to get subscribed to my monthly newsletter, because out there I share all the posts that I've done throughout the month, and then I kind of talk about my own experiences, right? So, for example, I've talked about self-consciousness. I think it's normal for people to experience, and so I always kind of turn it around and kind of try to do something where like I take that experience but then kind of share it in a way that can help you with your own, if you're going through that kind of situation. And then this week I have 2 blog posts coming out. One is on why SMART goals work, and then the second one's going to be on how to reciprocate positively in relationships. So make sure that you keep an eye out for those. They'll be posted on Saturday and Sunday. And okay, destiny has decided be better with the fate you forged. Oh, that's interesting. Who did you say this, or is it a quote? I'm going to have to screenshot the page there so I can keep track of it. I was trying to take a good screenshot while I'm doing this, and they always come out horrible. But I'm always like, it takes me forever. But yeah, if you guys want to talk about this more specifically, like towards your situation, or you're trying to process some of those thoughts and you're like, I don't know, like I'm pretty sure that my situation is different. Because I think that's always the answer. Like in your head, you know, you're feeling like, but you don't understand my situation. So if that's the case, send me a message and we can talk about it, and then maybe we can find how you can get extra support in a way that helps you specifically. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please share it with people, and if you, once it's on YouTube, share it on there as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and goodbye.